In this lesson, we're going to set up a lathe default machine and create some wireframe geometry. I have opened a new file in MasterCAM. I've opened the planes manager on the right hand side so we can see the planes change. I'm going to go up to the machine tab, and under lathe I'm going to select the default machine. We can see that it adds our lathe Z is equal to world Z for the VTL machine and plus D plus Z for the horizontal machine, which I'm going to select. Then I'll take our planes and I'll put it back on top of the other managers. I did create some levels so that we can organize our geometry. And in the toolpath manager you can see that we have our lathe default machine. I've included a sketch with this lesson which you can open and follow along. The first thing I want to do off our sketch is create a center line. So to do that, I'll come into line style and select this one in the middle here. I'm going to make my line a little thicker, and I'm going to change my color to black. I'm going to come up to wireframe and lined endpoints. I'm going to use fast point. To use fast point, I hit the space bar. Now in plus D and Z, the first coordinate it's looking for is the D coordinate. So in this case it'll be 0. I want our center line to extend past the front of the part ½ an inch. I'll hit fast point again. It'll be 0 again. And I want it to be minus 4.5 inches. So again, we'll be ½ an inch past the overall length of the part. Now I want to change back to a solid line, so I'll right click and come back in and change back to solid line, and I'm going to create a rectangle, the basic shape of our part. I'll use fast point again, and you can see that our sketch says 0.125. In this case it's a diameter of 250, and we're going to be at a Z of 0. So there's our first corner. Now I could use fast point again. I'd have to do the math to get the proper diameter. I'm going to come over and use width here. So we know our width is 4 inches. And we know our height is 625. And we can see that we need a minus 4 inches here. And there we have the basic shape of our part. From here, I'm going to come back into wireframe. And I'm in freeform. I'm going to hold down the shift button and I'm going to go to the origin. You can see that our 9.5 degree angled line is ½ an inch from the origin. So at this point I can just type in 0.5, or I can drag this out for a visual and then put it in, which is what I'm going to do here. 0.5, enter, enter. Now you can see I'm in free form here. I'm going to go ahead and put our angle in here in the panel. Our angle is going to be 180 minus 9. Yes, I realize that's 9 degrees. We'll come back and change that later. And for our auto cursor, I'm going to go to the nearest. So you can see as I come close to this line, it selects this line for me and it's going to intersect it perfectly. So now I have our angle line and I need to trim this up. There's a few ways to do this. The easiest way is to go to divide and just drag my mouse through those two right there. That's one way to do it. I'll put them back. We can also trim. So we'll trim. We'll use the auto method. I'll grab this length, which I want to keep. I'll grab this and it gives us a preview, and I'll select and trim there. Then I'll come back and divide this last piece off. So again, a variety of ways to trim our geometry. Now if I right click and analyze entity properties and check this angle here, you can see that our angle is 171 degrees. To make our resultant angle to the 9.5 degrees on the sketch, we will need to adjust this angle to be 170.5 degrees. Let's look at a couple other things. I want to look at this line right here. You can see on my sketch, it shows that line is 125 thousandths from my center line. But because I'm in DZ, it's reporting back at 250. So there's one of the benefits of the plus D plus Z plane. So now I'll come in and I'll go to transform and I'll use dynamic. So it wants to know what I want to move or copy. I want to move or copy that. I'll hit enter. I'm going to put it right on the vertex of this angle. And I'm going to move it up. You can see that this is the minus direction. So I'm going to say minus 0.5. Enter. Enter. And you can see that I'm going to move it versus copying it. And I'll say OK. So we're back to needing to trim this again. So I'll go back to wireframe. I'll trim. And we can use two entities. Again, there's a variety of ways to do this. I'll grab this line and this line. And you can see that we are trimmed up nicely. So there's our wireframe geometry.